riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, Flag Day to my Christmas, co-host extraordinaire Timothy Richardson. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Garrett. I am in both the Flag Day and Christmas spirit. I am excited to celebrate our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ this month in our own special way. And more importantly, I got out of so much legal trouble this week. And, well, a huge weight has been lifted off of me.
Dare I ask what you've been acquitted of or possibly frame someone else for?
Oh no, none of that. Garrett, in our ongoing effort to be good global citizens, I, on behalf of the podcast and our parent corporation, have been supporting a series of charitable causes. I know you do this as well. I believe you buy Christmas presents for poor children.
Correct.
Turns out I'm not great at geography and I do not know the difference between Ukraine and Chechnya. Technically, we were supporting, very generously, I might add, one of the several competing exiled governments of the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria. I don't even know if that's how you say it. Point is, I still believe their cause is just, but a lot of the
it's not
methods,
where the money was supposed to go.
A lot of the methods employed by the side I chose at random, that's very important, turned out to be a little terroristy. But good news, it turns out, Garrett, this show is my saving grace. My history of saying things on this podcast was enough to convince a few officials in our government that this was completely by accident. Apparently, I am, in the words of Paul
The State Department
Abbott, Deputy Director of the FBI, lucky to be an imbecile. Seems like an insult, but Garrett, I am required to say this on this show. I am an imbecile.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know. It seemed spiteful that he wanted me to say it, but there it is. I am no longer in jeopardy.
Oh, for now, till the next war begins. It's just a matter of time before this podcast is dragged in front of some congressional panel, and I don't know who it's going to be.
The Hague.
Oh, well, here's a fun question, and I'm pretty sure I know the answers, but listeners, write in, hatepodmail@gmail.com. Has any U.S. citizen ever been tried at The Hague? You could be the first. Tim, when not committing atrocities, what song have we been listening to for an entire week straight?
We have been listening to 1975's Linda Bennett's An Old-Fashioned Christmas, aka Daddy's Home. This was the suggestion of Alyssa Beckett, Casey Brown, and Stephen Riddell, perhaps. I don't know.
And several other people whose names we could not find because their social media of choice has a poor search algorithm. But needless to say, many, many people have asked for this. And Tim, after an entire week with Daddy's Home and Miss Linda Bennett, do you hate this song?
It's hard to say, Garrett. It's gross, but it's in such bad taste. But it's so weird and insane and fascinating. I'm not sure. I'm going to say no for now. It's
pretty conflicted
so
there.
Bad. I don't know. What about you, Garrett? Do you hate this?
Oh, heavens no. This song's great. It's so terrible and weird and off-putting and ill-advised and maybe not a song.
Oh, I have so many theories.
It's fascinating. I am saddened that our show came to this song late. The internet has already feasted upon this song as it does every year, but hopefully this is still new to some of our listeners. This thing is bananas.
Garrett, I guarantee you I have theories that were not thought of by this other whatever. I haven't listened to any of them because, I can't. I'll just steal their material. I think I have at least one unique take on it.
I'm sure you have several. But before we can get into them, Tim, it is important. I'm curious. Prior to this week, what is your experience with this song?
Absolutely none. No idea this existed until everyone suggested it. What about you?
Right back at you. Personal history out of the way, let's keep this train a-rolling. Tim, before we get into the song itself, we like to learn a little bit about the people who made it and how this song was written. So please take us on a journey, help us understand who is Miss Linda Bennett, what is An Old-Fashioned Christmas, and how did Daddy's Home come to be?
Well, Garrett, there's honestly not very much on the internet about Linda Bennett, and that saddens me. She was born in 1942 in Salt Lake City, Utah. She has yet to die. She was a child actress. She appeared in TV series TV series, and movies like Schlitz Playhouse, That Life, and Empire in the 50s and 60s. Notably, she was on an episode of Ozzie and Harriet where she sang a duet with Ricky Nelson. She was on the Dean Martin Comedy Hour, Bob Hope's Christmas USO show in 1969, and some other trash. She released an album called But Beautiful in 1965, then a single, Can You Make It, in 1975, and then a single, the song of the week, An Old-Fashioned Christmas, Daddy's Home, in 1975 as well. Do you know what the B-side of An Old-Fashioned Christmas, Daddy's Home is?
No. Is it a song I could guess?
Depends if you are familiar with daddy phrases.
Daddy's Gone.
No. Close. Daddy cursed the day.
Really?
Yeah. So I think this is a song about daddy coming home for Christmas, and the B-side is a song about how daddy didn't really want to be a daddy.
Yeah, how I wish daddy hadn't come home.
Yes. According to riverfronttimes.com, Fox News tracked her down for an interview. That seems to be lost to the old 404 problem the internet seems to be having these days. But according to the description of the interview, she does not remember recording this song.
Fantastic. That's actually probably best.
Yeah, I did do a little research on the writer of this song, Paul Vance. Garrett, are you familiar with Mr. Paul Vance?
Of course not.
Well, Mr. Paul Vance is really Mr. Joseph Paul Florio, who was born in 1929 in Brooklyn, Big Apple. He went into the army and then started an auto salvage business. As luck would have it, he then met Lee Pockris, who was a composer and thought that Paul knew about the public well enough to write some hits. I don't know what that means, but they immediately wrote Catch a Falling Star, and that was a hit for Perry Como in 1957. The pair then noticed Paul's daughter and her unwillingness to wear a bikini in public, so they wrote Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini to mock her, and that was then a hit. Now, Garrett, this is a real dick move. This would be like if your father was a famous songwriter and he decided to make a hit out of that time you went to Nantucket and you really had to use the bathroom, but there was no bathroom, or at least no bathroom with a door. Yeah.
He was hunched over, crunched over, cramped up in pain. He found a toilet, but there was no door, so we'll work on it.
Yeah. It's going to have people crying from the smell and a lifelong,
sight, sounds, smell, and taste.
Sure. And a lifelong psychological problem that makes you unable to poop in front of others.
Not me, friend.
He wrote 300 plus songs, including a lot of novelty songs and frequently some songs for Johnny Mathis. I know you're a huge Johnny Mathis fan.
The Math.
He did not write the Shangri-La's hit Leader of the Pack, but he did write the parody song Leader of the Laundromat, and then the follow-up album The Many Faces of the Detergents by his band The Detergents. So he was kind of the original Weird Al Yankovic.
God damn. Wait, did you say Weird Al Yankovic?
Yes. Albert?
I don't actually know.
In 1975, he wrote both this song and the song Run Joey Run for David Geddes, which is about a father finding out his daughter is pregnant and murdering her boyfriend. It is a song we should really do. It's great.
Yes.
It's really goddamn insane. In 2006, a guy named Paul Valkenburg died of lung cancer in Florida. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's a completely different guy. And you're right. It is a completely different guy, Garrett, and he wouldn't merit a mention here, except that guy had been lying for years, saying he wrote Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Polka Dot Bikini under the pen name Paul Vance, and a series of media outlets reported this as the actual Paul Vance dying. Then Paul had to announce his continued life with photos of royalty checks from his songwriting in the Big Apple Times and the Associated Press, and he actually had to consider legal action to make sure his royalty payments didn't stop.
Jesus.
He did eventually die, though, at 92 in 2022, also in Florida, in what his obituary described, and this is true, as a callback.
That can't be true.
LaFace.
Shall be to you. That out of the way, Tim, let's get into general thoughts. Let's get a little taste of this bad boy. Gino, load up the reel to reel. Here's a little bit of An Old-Fashioned Christmas, a.k.a. Daddy's Home.
Number 5 out of New Haven. And from all indications, we're sorry to report
then they wouldn't know.
It is as shocking as it is conventional.
Nope, I don't think you meant to say that.
I do, Garrett.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I guess you're right, because it does have, let me meet you halfway. It does have a very conventional Lawrence Welk show style musically.
Yes. Musically, it begins with Silent Night, I believe, and it's got the sort of faux radio show. It's basically an Insane Clown Posse-esque skit performed atop of other people's songs.
I mean, this takes what ICP tries to do, and I would almost say elevates it.
Right.
This is borderline a radio play.
Oh, sure. Yes. And she's a good singer in sort of a black and white musical movie kind of way.
Sure. It's in a Sound of Music sort of a situation.
Yes, that's kind of what this sounds like. But yeah, you're right. It is a radio play. This is not really a song. Some of the dialogue is sung. Some of it is not.
There's multiple performers in it. There's at least 4 people in this song.
Yeah, and it's unclear what parts of the song are the song and what parts are supposed to be background. Like, this might be a very early example of sampling.
It might be. I can understand what you mean. It's going to be hard for us to talk about this song abstractly because it is so strange. But we talked about it being like a very traditional sounding music, kind of a sort of a Sound of Music style musically in the way that Miss Bennett sings, very much so. But is there anything else we need to say before? Because it's hard to talk about this without getting into it. Is there anything you wanted to say to set it up before we get into it?
I don't think so. The fun of this song is the surprise, is the insanity that ensues.
Fantastic. Okay, I'll kick us off, and there'll be a good amount of pausing. I won't go far. The song begins with a song that I couldn't identify ending, and a DJ comes on as Silent Night begins to play in the background. So what I'm picturing, Tim, is I am, as the listener, listening to a song about a person listening to the radio.
Right.
Okay, just making sure. So then, Silent Night is cut into by a news reporter saying, "This is your music, news and weather station, bringing you the best in Christmas music on this beautiful Christmas Eve." And everything's great. What a great song. It sounds exactly like I would expect an old-fashioned Christmas to sound.
Sure. And then it sort of transitions. It becomes almost...
Here Comes the Sun.
Yes, but
that weird guitar.
It's the kind of song that, like, if a country musician had a Christmas song on their album, this is what it sounds like.
But only briefly.
Yes,
like it gets back to the much more like melodic blah blah stuff.
Sure. So then the mom begins singing, right? "Look outside,
yes.
The snow is falling, what a sight to see. Daddy will be coming home as happy as can be. He'll be walking through the door at 10 minutes after 9, 'cause the bus he takes each night is always right on time." Ominous.
Oh, see, at this point, I'm still optimistic as could be.
Sure, but it seems like weird. It seems there's a little bit of this first verse.
It's Chekhov's
here.
daddy. Maybe
Yes.
it's Chekhov's bus.
I think Chekhov's daddy is better.
Well, it sounds funnier, but it definitely is Chekhov's bus, because you and I know how this song ends.
And we know what Chekhov's gun is.
I guess if you don't know that part, you'd just be smiling and nodding. Oh, God. God damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So goes on. Chorus begins. "It's going to be a very merry Christmas with all the children by the Christmas tree. It's going to be a real old-fashioned Christmas for my children, their daddy and me." So far, other than the repeated references to a daddy, pretty
normal.
Right. You get a little bit of jingle bells.
Yep.
Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright, what fun it is to, and then I assumed that a nuclear war was going to happen the first time I heard this.
That's what that siren is for.
It is jarring. It is the sort of thing, especially given the time period, right? This is 1975. That is the noise to let you know that your neighbors have been turned into radioactive mutants and they're going to be eating your face flesh.
Exactly. There is a fog creeping across your city that is turning people inside out. You need to keep your windows shut.
Yes.
The news reporter says, "We're sorry to interrupt this program, but a bulletin has just been handed to me. There's been a serious accident involving the number 5 bus out of New Haven. The only information we have is that this bus skidded on a patch of ice and slammed into a tree. Stay tuned to this station for further details."
It's interesting that he says that the only information we have, because that's a lot more information than they would ever give, right?
Right. I also like the idea of it being the only information they're willing to give. It skidded on a patch of ice and slammed into a tree. Oh my goodness. What kind of casualties, or are there people injured? I won't be telling you that. You're looking right at it. We're already on the phone. You could just tell me the the rest. It's a secret.
Or it's not even that. You gotta wait. You gotta make
We gotta keep them coming back, Gene.
Right.
We don't tell them all the info.
Right, keep your dial right here.
For more daddy death updates.
Sure. And I was thinking, okay, so this isn't how they could possibly find out that their daddy was dead, right? Like, the radio's not just gonna announce that their daddy is dead. That would be insane. But it is 1975, so
Sure.
quite possibly could.
So far, the only information we have is a gentleman wearing overalls with the inscription Daddy on the lapel has been found dead.
Horribly.
If your father answers to the name Daddy, we are so sorry. All right, so after the newsman interrupts Jingle Bells to announce to the entire world that something happened and people may be injured, but they don't know anything, a little girl, a child, maybe it's a boy, I don't know, a child speaks up in the song, identifying now a third voice in the song. Mommy, isn't that the bus Daddy rides each night? Mommy replies as mommy should reply. Put your mind at ease, my children. Everything's all right. Everyone, don't get excited. Things will be okay. Nothing bad is going to happen on this Christmas Day. And that's the right answer.
Partially. It's a little too calm, though, right? Because the way it's phrased in this song, this is a mommy who's been abusing benzodiazepines to get through this horrid holiday. Linda Bennett's
It's
words.
a Xanax mommy?
Yeah, exactly. It's a mother's little helper mommy.
That's 1975. There could be a healthy amount of like Klonopin and gin.
Yeah, right.
We basically prescribed those two together then.
Yeah, of course.
You're going to feel amazing.
Your heart might stop. Then we get the chorus again. It's going to be a very Merry Christmas, etc., etc. And then the first Noel begins. Noel, 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 Noel. And the horrible... And the music immediately becomes very ominous here. It feels like a stage play. You're right to say that, because it really is setting the tone. And then the news reporter comes back and says...
Ladies and gentlemen, I've just been handed the latest report involving bus number 5 out of New Haven. From all indications, we're sorry to report that there were no survivors.
No survivors! No survivors is a line included in this Christmas song.
Also, what kind of tree?
Right, exactly, yeah. The bus hit a tree and everyone died. And not even that, because we're to assume the timeline of this song, right? There's an implied timeline. We're 3 songs into this news report, essentially. That means that everyone was killed instantly at the scene. Right? Like, it's not even like, I can see the bus hit a thing, it skidded, it fell over, maybe whatever, a bunch of people died several days later at the hospital. No. Instantly. Everyone died.
In the time it took to sing half of Noel. The police arrived, medical examiner, oh my God. I mean, okay, hold on now. It is a 1975 city bus.
Okay.
It might have killed everybody.
Yeah, but it also might have kept everyone very safe. Those things were made out of steel.
That is a good point. No crumple zones, though. Anyway.
That's true.
Let's see. Mom speaks up at this point. She says, oh my God, this just can't happen. What am I to do? What have I got left in life to look forward to?
Let's
pause
there, right? So first of all, hopefully she didn't say, what have I got left in life to look forward to directly in front of her children.
I like to think of it as she's saying it to her children, as though she expects them to answer.
Interesting. But okay, so here's the thing. I don't know if she was considering a murder-suicide, or just a murder, or just a suicide. I don't know exactly, but she was definitely considering killing her children so she didn't have to raise them alone. It's one of those, I only had these brats because daddy wanted them.
Or possibly I have no skills whatsoever because it's 1975 and I was told I'd never need a job. Daddy would take care of it, so we're going for a drive in the lake.
Right, absolutely. And Garrett, you know how this song ends. Hopefully all our audience does. We won't get there just yet, but think about how awkward it would be if she really just acted like if she Andrea Yates them before daddy. We won't say what happens, but or Casey Anthony them. But I mean, but best case scenario, right? In her voice, she jumps immediately to murder-suicide the instant she hears about her husband's presumed death.
God, it would have been amazing if there was a part 2 to this song. A less old-fashioned Christmas, parentheses, daddy's still home.
Well, there's, okay, hold on, because maybe there is. The B-side is Daddy Cursed the Day or whatever.
Holy shit. All right, let's keep going. Oh my God.
Okay, but before we do, Garrett, this is true love, right? Here's the thing. If I ever die in a bus accident, I expect you to immediately kill yourself so that we can get started with a bunch of fun heaven activities. I do not like to wait.
We'll just assume I'll do that.
Fair enough. The daughter immediately says, because she jumps on board with Daddy is dead, who will walk me down the aisle on my wedding day? The son says, who's going to buy me toys and take me out to play?
These kids have got some screwed up priorities.
Right. These are selfish, monstrous children.
Although I will say, honestly, the son concerns me less than the daughter.
Yeah, that is a very specific concern. And based on how the voice actors are playing these kids, they're very young.
Very young. Like, I would venture to say a daughter doesn't even know that he would be walking her down the aisle. Like, that's... God, but they're really selfish brats.
Yes.
These are bad kids.
Right. Daddy is dead or dying, and all they care about is presents and marriage that's like decades away. They don't really seem that concerned that Daddy is dead outside of their own, like, very narrow lane.
And keep in mind, this guy comes home after 9 p.m. every night.
Well, sure,
That's a long day.
He's out there at the bar with...
Okay, I did wonder that. Does work still end at 5 and then Daddy has some blowing off steam time before he catches the number 5 bus?
Right, that's why his family still likes him and is that interested because, Anyway, okay. And at this point, the doorbell rings and the children shout, Daddy, Daddy. And it's at this point, Garrett, I have to ask, why does the dad ring the doorbell to his own house?
I don't know. You should have keys.
He should have keys. Now,
the best I came up, well, we'll read the rest. I have one possible explanation.
Okay, well, I have some theories here.
Oh, great. Hit me.
Okay, have you ever seen that documentary, The Imposter? It's about the kid that pretended to be, or that man who pretended to be a kid from San Antonio and the family just accepts him as their son.
Despite him looking and sounding completely different?
Yeah, he was from Spain.
Being a man.
Maybe the family is so distraught and traumatized that when this con artist comes home that's obviously not their husband/daddy, they just kind of go with it.
What if they're delusional and it's just Officer Barnaby to give them Daddy's remains, or at least like his personal effects? Like,
sure.
Like a left shoe and a cufflink. I've got what was remaining of your father at the site of the bus accident. Daddy, you're my new husband. No, I've got a wife and children of my own. I'm not your father.
Okay, that's actually my theory number 2. Theory number 3. It wasn't really a tree. They crashed into something or something crashed into them. Mm-hmm. And when Daddy comes home, he's more, well, Garrett, I
some sort of like pod person?
He's an interstellar bug man. Daddy is being piloted around by a huge cockroach like Vincent D'Onofrio.
Okay, so he rings the doorbell. That makes sense. He's a bug person. Yeah. And they all go, Daddy, Daddy. And he goes, sugar.
Right. They're terrified by his constant demands for sugar water. And so at this point, they all like seamlessly, they're just pretending until some sort of shadowy government organization can come and murder this space beast and make them all forget that Daddy ever existed, right? Because...
That's amazing. Like, I had one more theory.
Okay.
What if Daddy's the bus driver, tied a few on, he's the only survivor, as is often the case, the drunk driver, he just got it. He hits the tree, kills everybody on board, opens the door and goes, well, there's my stop. and then walks home.
Well, that would make sense because otherwise, like, how did this guy get home, right? Because
exactly
in the timeline of this song, they make it seem like they were expecting him approximately when he actually got home.
Yeah.
But where was he? So the other thing that I was thinking, right? So he's never been on the bus. He never comes home.
Like ever.
Ever. No. He always gets driven home by the lady he's having an affair with.
Yes.
And so just at this time, he has to be like, he's scrambling, Garrett. I missed the bus. I don't know. We should all just bask in how lucky I am that I'm not dead and just no more questions. I heard it on the radio too in that woman's car that you've seen me in sometimes, and we just don't talk about it because it's 1975.
Sugar. Anyway, wearing some sort of Edgar suit.
I don't know. Vincent D'Onofrio does an amazing job in that. His wife possibly does a better job.
I was going to say, like, this hot take, I think Vincent D'Onofrio should have been nominated for an Oscar for his physical performance.
Absolutely.
As that bug man. Like, he commits.
Yeah. He becomes a bug man.
Anyway, instead of all the really cool things Tim and I said, we do hear from Daddy. He says, Merry Christmas, everybody. I know it's late and I missed my bus. Well, don't just stand there. Help guilt me with these presents. And that's the explanation I have. That's why I had to ring the bell. His arms were so heaping with presents that he just couldn't even reach his keys.
Yeah, possibly. But again, how did he get home with all those presents if not for the bus?
Yeah, I think this guy, he's like the floor manager at a Macy's. He's clearly banging the chick at the perfume counter, and his arms are full of guilt presents, and she clearly gave him a ride home.
Right. As she does every day in secret.
Yeah, and he walks the last, 200 meters.
Yeah.
And sure, his wife has seen the car at the corner of the street repeatedly, but as you pointed out, it's 1975, so we're gonna ignore it.
Absolutely.
God damn. I wish there was more. Oh, there is. We get the chorus again, and then we have the Tiny Tim moment to bring us home. The son says, "Merry Christmas, Daddy."
Yeah, and it's at this point, so even if this is all innocent, and it's just the bratty children and a daddy, that got home through innocent means, there's still 50 people that died in this song. Who gives a shit about, there's a series of other songs from all the wives of people that were on that bus, right?
Yes. It's like they heard, what was that, a Buddy Holly song? No. What was the song that Pearl Jam covered in the late 90s?
Last Kiss?
Yeah. It's like they heard Last Kiss and they're like, this could be a Christmas song.
So there were a bunch of other daddies that died tonight, but we're hearing about this. It always reminds me of that, when evangelical Christians talk about a miracle, and they're just like, oh yeah, the World Trade Center came down, but it was a miracle because one of the beams looked like a cross. What?
You're truly terrifying.
Right.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Or the plane crashed, but there was one Bible that was it was completely untouched. You really see the Lord's work here. I don't. What the fuck are you
I sure
about?
don't.
Or even if miraculously Daddy was on the bus and everyone else's heads were sheared clean off and he was miraculously fine. And
can you believe he decided to tie his shoe at that exact moment?
Right.
Praise be.
Isn't it a miracle? No, because of the 50 other people in the spurting blood in the river of blood that flowed off of the bus when they opened those doors. Also, Daddy is really going to be a different man now because he saw some shit.
Oh, yeah, he's going to need a little extra gin at the bar every night.
Yeah, he's really going to be spending some quality time with the perfume counter lady.
Right. So, it's technically a happy ending if you're willing to ignore all of the dead people on the bus.
It is a happy ending for the absolute minority of people. It's we'll say, I don't know how many seats are on a bus in 1975. We'll say 40. So it's a 2.5% happy ending.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Alrighty, Timmy. Unfortunately, there is no music video.
Yeah, that's true.
Huge disappointment.
There are also no how did this do's, but Garrett, the Dutch really liked, and they specified, they liked how ruthless and cold this song is, which goes against my impression of the Dutch while I was in the Dutch, but I feel like their opinions are getting much darker with the increasing length of their imprisonment. Well, subterranean imprisonment.
Are we calling it that? I thought it was an internship.
No. We have interns and we have, imprisoned Dutchmen. And women. Don't need to hear
good question.
Shit,
what do you call
Gino.
a Dutch? God damn. Gino and his fucking pronouns. Anyway, Timmy, with no music video and no how did it do, that brings us to what did people think of it? So I must ask, what did people think of it?
Garrett, there are no Amazon reviews, but
that sounds right.
There are some YouTube comments at Mike Spencer 4013 2 weeks ago. A local radio station DJ was talking about this song and he surmised that the father had a side piece and she became pregnant. She wanted him to leave his wife and marry her, but he still loved his first wife. He missed the bus on purpose and cut the brake lines. He further added, I can see the scene in the songwriting room. Everyone wanted to know why the goth chick was in there. Now we know. I don't know what that means. Laughing face emoji. That was darker than what we thought.
Yeah, which is very rare, but it's close, which means that one of us, if not both, are accurate.
Fair enough. Don Thomason 2716. As is, this song sent an awful message of not caring about your neighbor and their well-being. It needs more lines about the family rejoicing about their loved one who survived, but later being deeply moved at the loss of life of others, which moved them to give their presence to those in need.
That's a super lame way of saying what we said.
I don't think that guy understands songs. That's that's like a 48-minute coda.
It's like a eulogy.
Yes. Seafoam Strat 3 weeks ago, an old-fashioned no survivors Christmas. No one 7 years ago just said, Timmy Boo! Timmy.
Do you think it's a message to you?
Possibly.
God, that's a really good nickname.
Yeah, I would really like it if somebody maybe started calling me Timmy Boo. Maybe like one person and then like a bunch of people started.
That's how nicknames start. But I'm now wondering, because I don't vet your comments. Did you write Timmy Boo? Are you trying to get Timmy Boo started?
It was 7 years ago.
Says you.
That's true. You know what? Yeah, I can't argue that.
You're a renowned liar. You're a documented liar.
That's true. Yes, that's accurate.
Any other reviews, Timmy?
No.
Who is this for?
I feel like this is for Christmas parties, right? This is the song. If you've got a 35 song playlist, you put this in at 33 and never mention it. Funny playlist.
That is funny. There used to be, I don't know if there still are, and I'm an old man and never go anywhere anymore, but it used to be you could set the soundtrack for bars. You had to pay to do it. But if you're in a bar and you can somehow get this started repeatedly, do that.
Yeah, you still can. They've got the digital jukeboxes.
Okay. It's been a minute.
Now they work with your phone.
Yeah. Anyway. Alrighty, Tim, that brings us to final thoughts. We've been all the way through it. Is there anything that you need to say about this bizarre radio play?
No.
Fair enough. Let's see. Did I leave anything off the table?
You know what? I'll say this. I would like to see the movie of this where Vincent D'Onofrio and, what is her name?
Oh, I don't know her name.
Siobhan Fallon Hogan. There it is. That lady. She plays the distraught
She
wife.
plays the wife?
Yeah.
It's not a name.
Anyway.
Just wearing some kind of Edgar suit.
She does a fantastic job.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's see. Any other final thoughts here before we ask the big question again? I'm shocked that this hasn't hit our radar sooner. That's interesting. I think it's weird that only Linda Bennett is credited on the song, given that there's 4 other people.
That's true. There should be some featuring. But again, no one knows who this person is, so.
And I think this might actually be a song about a man celebrating the fact that he's getting away with his affair.
Yeah, oh, absolutely it is. Or possibly some sort of horrible space beast celebrating the fact that the family is buying it. I will say this, I am pretty angry that we don't have Daddy Curse the Day, the B-side. I looked on the internet, I could not find it. I couldn't even find lyrics to it.
That sounds right. Now, Tim, I'm curious. Do you think that there was a replacement for everyone on that bus and that everybody was eaten by monsters?
Interesting.
Yeah, sort of a pod person situation or what is it? Is it disturbing behavior? They're all the same. Yeah, like where they're getting replaced one by one? Or do you think one monster killed the whole bus of people when it landed on Earth and then just assumed the first guy he saw?
I mean, the smart thing to do is obviously to replace everyone.
But that wouldn't make sense because they reported everybody dead.
Well, so maybe that's
you got to have those
thing.
Corpses.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe all the families are so happy that they're not going to look into it.
Yeah, but you got to imagine the coroner's going to call and say like,
"Oh, the coroner's been eaten by aliens and replaced."
They're all in on it.
Yeah,
it's like The Thing. John Carpenter's An Old-Fashioned Christmas.
In.
I would totally watch that.
Yeah.
John Carpenter's Daddy's Home? Fuck yeah. Alrighty, we've been all the way through it. We've really wrung out the towel. Not a drop left. So I'm going to ask it. Tim, do you hate this song?
No, this was too much fun.
Exactly.
What about you? Do you hate this?
Of course not. Loved it. Might do it again next year. Let's find out. Alrighty, Tim, that brings us to listener mail. Would you like to go first or would you like me to?
You can go first this week. I think I'll let you go.
All right, that was super weird. Then, Tim, my listener mail this week is from Brennan. Brennan has titled his email to Nitro and Gold Cobra. Fucking love both of those. And also the idea of an absolute stranger calling you Nitro some 20 years after you were named Nitro is incredible.
Yeah, it really lives on. Someday, I'm assuming, well, the Nitro will come back.
Yeah.
By that I mean, I will dress in short shorts on Halloween and go to couch early.
You will don a unitard, get blackout drunk, beat several people savagely with a homemade jousting stick, and pass out in the basement of an unknown person.
It was PVC pipe and rolls of paper towels. The thing is, when you're in the state I was, the paper towel rolls sometimes come off, and then you're just beating a man with PVC pipe. Allegedly.
Sure, all hypotheticals. Brennan writes, Hello, replacement Tim and Garrett. As of today, the Spotify Wrapped came out. Feast ye eye. guys. And he includes, which is very funny, but he includes a screenshot demonstrating that Brennan listened to 131,348 minutes.
Yes.
It works out to be around 6 hours a day.
I would like to pause you right there, Garrett. That's not the right way of doing this. That works out to approximately 91 days. That's literally a season. His summer's gone.
Yeah.
This guy started listening in the middle of June, and then September, he's like, well, back to school,
Probably do
I
something
guess.
else. God damn.
Jesus. 91 days.
That's amazing. Brennan continues. I have been stealing Harvey's skin cells and Tom's, in parentheses, Rom B. Ortley, not B. Rady's, leavings to do some magic on you guys. Pause again.
You know what? I have been noticing some magical happenings about here, so this does check out.
Interesting. So you do think that we may or may not have been the subject of various incantations?
We've been spelled and spooked, yes.
My goodness. Brennan continues. I was actually about to curse you when the Neuralink guys showed up to, quote, demon up those interns. What the fuck does that sentence mean?
This is, of course, Garrett, a reference to the time you turned all of our interns into demons to scare me, possibly, or maybe you just dosed me with something.
Yeah, I maintain I didn't do anything. Anyway,
well, somebody did.
After saying demon up those interns, he continues total cucks. Anyway, I'm still hoop curious and a Tom B. Rady truther. I am the leader of your Aztec blood cult. Good God. I am Tim's horribly infected foot wound. Ask him about the Punji pit in Central Park.
Oh, yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, that was a thing. Hope you guys sleep well. You seem to have been tossing and turning in your sleep. Garrett, I'm not reading what you nicknamed me here. Harvey.
Garrett Adolf, in quotes, Harvey.
He signs off, many slim boys, the real trashfire.jpg, Major Laser.
Gross. You're a weirdo, Brennan.
Yeah.
Also, maybe listen to less of the show, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it might be ruining your brain.
91 days. I hope to God you're at least listening to this on like 2x speed. Is that a thing you can do?
Oh, that would be good.
On Spotify? I don't know.
Don't know. Don't have Spotify.
Fair enough.
God damn, that's like I freaked out when somebody sent us like 36,000.
Yeah, you should have.
Tim, do you do the email too?
Garrett, I do the email too. This is from Katie, who, well, I won't read the title of the email because it ruins the first paragraph. She said, "Hi, Tim and Garrett. I just discovered your podcast this summer and am only on episode 96. So if this has already been discussed, please disregard. If not, I came across this current photo of Billy Ray Cyrus from a news article on Billboard.com, and I've been laughing way too hard for the last hour at this photo, so I thought you guys would enjoy it." And she sends a photo as well as a photo of Rob Zombie. It seems as though Billy Ray Cyrus is morphing into Rob Zombie. I found the resemblance uncanny yet fucking hilarious. What do you guys think? I don't know if we've discussed this, but absolutely he is. They are one and the same. Also, weirdly,
we've not. I've seen this photo. It's ridiculous. Now, I want to know, Tim, do you think he is modeling himself after Robbie Z, or do you think this is just what happens?
Oh, he's 100% modeling himself after that, and I know that for a fact because she sent us a picture of Rob Zombie looking Rob Zombie-ish, but have you seen Rob Zombie post-Halloween this year?
I think he looks like a normal dude, right?
The only way to say this is he has 1993 Billy Ray Cyrus himself. He looks amazing. Amazing.
That can't be accurate.
It is. So she signs off Katie, and then there's a PS. I absolutely love your show. I work at home with my husband and listen to you guys on my earbuds while I'm working. He always makes fun of me because it will be quiet in our house and I will be randomly outbursting in laughter. That's not how that's possibly said. Like a crazy person listening to your show. Here's where you're wrong. Make him download it on a separate device and also listen to it. And now for the reason that I read this review, Garrett. PPS, I have been getting really good at the Robert Christgau game and would love to challenge Garrett to an RC game duel. Garrett,
I'll crush you.
Yeah, what you have to understand is that Garrett is as insane as Robert Christgau. He's barely holding it together for this show. If you find the feed,
yeah, it sounds like I've got my shit together, but I don't.
No,
I don't.
Oh God, no.
Now, believe it or not, you know what? I won't say that. Anyway, great email, Tim. That was an excellent email. Thank you for saying such nice things. And if we can figure out a way to create a group Robert Christgau game, maybe, Tim, we are going to be turning on the Patreon spigot this 2024. Maybe that's a thing. Pay to play the Robert Christgau game. We'll set up a Zoom, me and 4 of you will play. Maybe we'll have a little tournament.
How about this?
Really fun.
You pay to play, but it is also like there's a lot of gambling going on here, right? So and of course, it has to be something where no one knows what the review is, so we'll have to like play snippets of an album. I'm gonna have to host this. Anyway, the point is we're gonna be extracting a lot of money from these people. We'll cheat, don't worry. Probably cut that cheat part. Yes. Hey, Katie? Yes, we will take your money. Also, she's on episode 96, so there's a chance she's not gonna hear this for like 3 years.
Oh my God. That brings us to music news of the weird, and I must insist this week that you go first.
Okay. Well, I do think I won the email, so absolutely.
Music news of the weird.
Garrett, in non-news.
Wait, what?
In non-news, Garrett, the Brian Jonestown Massacre is touring. And they recently had a concert.
Sort of.
Well, yeah, sort of. They were touring. They had a concert in Melbourne, Australia, which descended into chaos when singer and frontman Anton Newcomb fired the guitarist Ryan Van Creed in the middle of a show saying, "Cut off this guy's mic, put down my guitar, party's over, Captain. We don't actually need you. Go, put my guitar down on the stage and think about what's happening." To which Ryan responded, "You better think about this one, man, because this is forever," before leaving the stage and flipping him off. At which point, the two got into a shoving match. Anton tried to hit Ryan with a guitar. They got into a fist fight, but really slap fight, and ended up rolling around on the floor like children because they are children and neither one of them knows how to fight. This is, of course, not news because this or worse happens, and this is true at every single Brian Jonestown Massacre show. Every audience member is lucky when they were not kicked right in the face, and if you haven't, you should go watch the documentary Dig. I actually rewatched it after reading this story because it gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling, Garrett. It's great. It features Anton firing a band member on stage at a 1996 show, followed by a brawl, as well as, and spoilers here, kicking at least two fans directly in the face.
Yeah. If you'd like to watch all of this transpire, don't worry. You can find it online.
Yeah, it's great.
God, yeah. I saw this as well. I was like, well, this will definitely be on Tim's list.
Yeah. God, I love that.
Also, though, as a fan, that is what you paid for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If someone hadn't been fired, you could have demanded your money back.
Yeah. You don't go to that guy's show for the music, which is kind of a shame because he's actually quite good at music.
Yeah. I literally didn't buy tickets to see them at Levitation because I was like, there's like a 25% chance this is going to happen.
Yeah. Or that the show just won't happen because it happened the night before.
Right.
Garrett, what other not news do you have?
Well, Tim, in my non-news story, I wanted to bring to attention that the YSL RICO trial began on November 27th in Fulton County with more than... Are you familiar at all with this YSL RICO trial?
I am not.
Okay, so Young Thug, you're at least familiar with who Young Thug is, I assume.
Yes.
Yes, let me get into it. So you'll understand in a moment why I wanted to bring this up, but a little bit of background. On November 27th, Judge Ural Glanville, the man's name is Ural.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ural Glanville of Fulton County and defense prosecutors vetted more than 600 people to determine who was going to be the best jurors for a very high-profile case. As I mentioned, multi-platinum artist and rapper Young Thug, aka Jeffrey Williams, is the most well-known defendant standing trial. He is facing 8 counts in a 65-count indictment, with prosecutors alleging that he's the leader of a subset of the Bloods called the Young Slime Life Gang, aka YSL.
That's not a great name.
No. They claim that he is responsible for ordering the murders of and other violent interactions with other Atlanta area gangs. The prosecution will be using lyrics, music videos, and social media posts as evidence, sparking outrage from criminal justice reform advocates who see this as a First Amendment violation that exemplifies the racially motivated criminalization of rap music. To which I say, mostly but not entirely. So, if you're going to use rap lyrics, probably not. It's art. Leave them alone. If you're going to use social media posts, maybe a little, because there's definitely posts that seem to be highlighting crimes.
Yeah. I think the problem gets in when there's all those like details that you couldn't know. The police intentionally did not reveal to the public.
Right. Yeah. So when they get in there and they start being like, well, we weren't able to actually press charges until we looked at your social media and you listed all those things, those details at the crime scene that only the person who perpetrated it could know. Yeah, that's going to be a bit of an issue, but I'm going to be watching it closely. Not as closely as our Free Britney coverage, of course. That was too captivating to let go, but I'm very curious to see how this plays out and what the evidence is, because at the surface, my reaction is like, yeah, man, you can't use rap lyrics as like evidence.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that would be like somebody being like, I've been listening to your podcast and I find it incredibly offensive. Folks, it's a show. They're characters. If you met us in real life, you'd probably be disappointed. Like,
Garrett, I have another email to read.
We get those once in a while. They're jokes. None of this is serious.
Garrett
Having said
is
that, there
a
are no
misogynist,
bits.
though.
Fuck you. Tim, what other news do you have?
Well, Garrett, in Why I Hate This Album bit news, there are no bits, but...
No bit zone.
Absolutely not. And because there are no bits, I have in fact been watching all of The Golden Bachelor, a show on ABC that is exactly as you're imagining The Bachelor, but for olds. Now, I have been watching it mostly because I am getting a lot of money for having the initial idea and secretly selling it to ABC under Garrett's nose, but I want to say, bravo, Bachelor Nation. It ended last Thursday, and I just want to say it was great. It was exactly what I was picturing, exactly as fake, exactly as awful, exactly as morally bankrupt, just with olds. Jimmy Kimmel's mom was on the first episode for some reason. She did not get far. She fell asleep on a couch and did not get chosen. The women were just as immature and insane as you would expect of 25-year-olds. Jerry, aka Gary, was fantastic. Yes, they did do a goddamn Parks and Recreation joke. Garrett, the anguish in his face in the last episode when he sent Leslie home after telling her that he loved her, then asked, spoilers, Teresa to marry him, despite the fact that he was clearly lying to the final three, telling each of them that he was in love with them. The revelation that he was lying the whole time when he said he hadn't dated anyone after his wife died, when really he started dating someone who helped get rid of her clothes within a month of her death. The whole thing was fascinating, and I will be back next year. I will eagerly watch the next installment of Dwarf Bachelor or whatever else I suggested a year ago. ABC, do more of this. Do poorly closeted gay bachelor. Do don't speak the same language as the contestants bachelor. Regular bachelor that doesn't know that all the contestants will be over 75. Actively on fire bachelor. Get weird
Dog
with it.
bachelor.
Dog bachelor. Wait, is it all for dogs? Is it like the puppy bowl, or is this like the bachelor is a dog and then there's human laid? Either way, you know what? I don't care.
Both.
I'm in.
Both.
Yes. Get weird with it. Hire whomsoever comes up with an alternate dimension TV ideas. You know, the Rick and Morty alternate whatever dimension TV. Get whoever does that to just throw out ideas because they're better than mine. Come up with
a Bachelor channel.
Right. Come up with something truly awful and film it. This was worth my time. It was fucking terrible.
Mr. Hands Bachelor. Shaved Bear Bachelor.
No.
They need love too, Tim.
No, they don't, Garrett.
They're abominations of God and should be struck from the earth.
Absolutely.
Bear-hating Tim's Bachelor.
Yeah, that's fair.
God damn it.
Garrett,
That's
what
funny.
other television shows have you been watching in secret because, well, you were
I'm actually the showrunner of it.
Yes, there it is.
Well, Tim, in responsibility has made strange bedfellows news, DaBaby has announced that he will no longer be drinking via social media recently, after a very embarrassing situation in front of his daughter. He said, quote, "Throwing up in my Maybach, getting out the car with my pants halfway down. The fuck wrong with me? I'm throwing up. She beside me in the car seat talking about, good job, man. It's embarrassing."
Wait,
in front of my baby.
Are these lyrics that you're
No, this is
reading
a
them
quote.
as if they're lyrics?
This is a quote. I am afraid to do an impression of DaBaby.
Sure, you shouldn't, but I'm just saying the way, like the cadence with which you're reading these implies that he is wrapping them possibly into some sort of like speech to text feature.
I do think he was probably talking and that this is a quote of a video.
Okay. Fair.
Throwing up in my Maybach, getting out the car with my pants halfway down. The fuck wrong with me? I'm throwing up, she beside me in the car seat talking about some good job. Man, it's embarrassing in front of my baby. So I don't drink no more. End quote. This is where it gets weird. DaBaby also then continued by threatening to fight anybody that offers him a drink, saying fucking quote. I'm stealing off. I dare you. Offer me a drink. I don't give a fuck who it is. I don't give a damn who it is. And then he continues on like that for a little bit, threatening anybody who dare offer him a beverage, an alcoholic beverage, that he will beat the shit out of you for it. So don't do that.
Well, you know what I'm gonna do?
Oh, send the baby a drink on my behalf?
That's right. Maybe he'll send us mayo back.
No, he won't. I am happy for DaBaby for making a strong and responsible choice after him feeling like hitting a personal low in front of his daughter, but maybe don't fight people because maybe they haven't heard yet.
See, but I think that's also going to be kind of a personal low in front of his daughter, right? When he
that's what I'm trying to help him avoid. New low. A new low. Tim, what else you got?
Well, Garrett, in Knights in Satan's Service news. No, in Kinder SS news. Kiss has been subsumed into the cloud. This week, the Starchild, Demon, Spaceman, and the Catman performed their final show at the Big Apple's own Madison Square Garden. And then, a new era. Garrett, on stage, each band member was consumed by a column of flame, turning their body into a pile of ash before digital avatars of the band were introduced and played God Gave Rock and Roll to You. That's right, Garrett. The members of Kiss killed themselves on stage and became one with computers, I guess. George Lucas now owns their souls as part of his company Industrial Light and Magic. They are now his digital slaves, forced to perform at his whim whenever and wherever he wants, possibly at multiple venues simultaneously. This is apparently the future of the music business. And Lucas, for his part, said he is doing this entirely because he has always hated Kiss and wants to personally direct their living hell. He's a weird man.
What if we gave them all, like, I don't know, little hats or something neat like that? God damn it, George. How do you make everything worse?
What if we trap their souls in this computer and then...
I like that he sounds a little like Kermit the Frog.
He does, though.
Yeah, he does. He really does. I have a really neat idea. Yeah. What if we replaced all their guitars with walkie-talkies? What if they played with Jar Jar Binks? That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, it's depressing as all get out, and I don't even like Kiss.
Yeah. What other band death news do you have? It better not.
I don't have any. It's music news of the weird.
Okay, Garrett. What other music news of the weird do you have?
Thank you. Apparently, Tim, Kelly Clarkson's ex-husband Brandon Blackstock owes her $2.6 million for allegedly making business deals on her behalf that were against the law.
Let me pause you right there. Say his name again.
Brandon Blackstock.
Ooh, that's a great name.
It is a good name, but he broke the law. But what law is... Now, which law he broke is particularly odd to me. Apparently, California law requires that managers cannot act as agents, so the commissions that he was paid for securing Kelly Clarkson's contracts with The Voice, the Norwegian Cruise Line, and all those god-awful Wayfair commercials were all illegal. And so he must pay it all back to Clarkson. And so I did a little more digging to figure out, like, what law is this? Apparently, there's a law called the Talent Agencies Act. It's an actual law. It says a manager or any person without a talent agency license cannot procure or attempt to procure employment for artists on their behalf. What? Who knew that there was an agency license?
I mean, that does make sense, though. Like, show business has a lot of stuff like that.
Well, okay. It makes sense in that, like, you're not surprised to hear it. It makes no sense as in you need some sort of license to make a deal on someone's behalf.
Yeah.
That also tells us that Kelly Clarkson probably made somewhere in the neighborhood of $26 to $30 million on all those contracts. If he got paid $2.6 million on them.
That's true. I say, given that name, he should get to keep it.
Interesting. Tim, what other music news do you have?
I think I'm good.
Okie doke. The only other one I captured, I'll just do a very quick version of. Hall & Oates are suing the shit out of each other.
Yeah, they are. Well, one of them's suing the shit out of the other. One of them's just kind of taking it.
Yeah, we'll probably have some updates on that in a little bit. The thing that I found odd about it is that, so one guy is trying to sell his half of the partnership to a company that already owns a whole bunch of Hall & Oates songs. They just want to own more Hall & Oates songs.
Don't we all?
Yeah. And the other one is like, no, I don't want to be partners with a company. Can you not? And so he started suing him to be like, don't do that, please.
Do you think they want to be partners with each other still?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I would much much rather deal with you than like a multinational corporation.
You say that now, but they've been partners for so many years, Garrett. Are you honestly telling me that in like 2054, you're going to be like, yeah, I'd rather deal with you than Suits? Because you won't.
God, yeah, that is...
I'll still be there, Garrett.
I know. That's awful to think of.
Yeah, I know. I was planning on being dead way before then.
And yikes. Alrighty, track number 4. That brings us to a very special album announcement. Tim, what album will we be listening to for at least a week straight?
We are doing our annual Christmas classic, Garrett. We are doing an Icy Pissmas, Insane Clown Miss. I don't know. We're doing the Insane Clown Posse album, Fearless Fred Fury, named after, and this is true, Garrett Harvey's father, Fred Harvey, in 2019.
Accurate. Exactly what day it comes out and when, TBD.
Yes, possibly in a week, possibly in 2 weeks, possibly in 6 weeks. This might be our Valentine's Day episode. We just don't know.
Tough to say. We lost the calendar, and we are at a loss. But for this week, that's going to pretty much do it. As always, if you could reach out, that'd be great. hatepodmail@gmail.com or go to hatepod.com. Click on Contact Us in the upper left-hand corner. That's a way to do it. You can find us on Instagram. That's HatePod. Threads is also HatePod. Twitter is Album HatePod. We've got Discord servers. We've got subreddits. We've got every possible way you could want to talk to us on the internet, so just go ahead and reach out, and we'd love to hear from you. But for this week, that's going to do it for Why I Hate This Album. I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Timothy P. Richardson, and on October 1st, 2013, Garrett P. Harvey said, "First time I ever had Teddy Grahams, I was sitting in a doghouse in my friend's backyard."
It's a true story. I was 6 years old. They were delicious.
You were not 6, but they were delicious.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Gary.